All right, everybody, so welcome back to the weekly fishing report. If you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions. Obviously, that's what this community is built on, is learning about bass fishing. So with that being said, let's talk about what's going on this week. So, you know, I'm seeing a lot of fish out on the main. Okay, so no matter what lake or river system I'm fishing, I'm seeing a lot of fish starting to migrate out to the main. A lot of people are on the points right now. But I've kind of got a little trick that I do that's, I'm not going to say other people don't do it, but I don't see as many people doing this little type of strategy or whatever. But you know, this time of year, especially on like Lewis Smith Lake and stuff, you show up on a Saturday like today and there is boat after boat after boat after boat sitting on points. And it makes it really hard to get in there and fish those points. And not only that, once you do get to that area that you want to fish, it's been hit 3 or 4 times already. So the fish are kind of, you know, hard to catch unless you catch them coming up. And we're going to go over baits and stuff like that. This is not just like a Smith Lake weekly report, but just kind of in general. You're going to see a lot of people on your lake that are fishing tournaments and stuff. They're, you know, club classics and stuff like that, and most of the people are going to be on the main. A lot of people will push up into the creeks and stuff, but it's not as notorious as it used to be. But you know, most of these fish, once again, they're still chasing bait. They're chasing bait like crazy. They're eating crawfish. They're really feeding up for winter, and that's a key word, feeding up. They're coming up from below the bait fish and eating those bait fish. So you know, like I say, you always kind of want to be above those fish. You never really want to be dead on them, or you know, necessarily right on top of their face. Now, with that being said, the strategy that I was wanting to talk to you about, most of the people, if you have, you know, a GPS unit or anything like that, you're mapping, if you'll look up, most of them in the top right hand corner, you'll have a compass. Most of the people that you're going to see, they're going to be hitting the northern banks, okay? And I'm not going to say that that's not the best thing to do on your lake, because it may be. It kind of really depends on the lake you're fishing, but I haven't really found anywhere that this doesn't work this time of year. I'm using the same strategy. I'm hitting those points and stuff, but I'm going after multiple fish. So, you know, I'm not going out on the lake to catch you know, Moby Dick. I'm going out on the lake to catch as many fish as I possibly can, just have a good time. It doesn't matter to me whether they're a pound or 6 pounds. I'm just there to have a good time, and catching fish is how I enjoy my time on the water. But hitting the southern banks, okay, so that's one of the things that I did, you know, this entire week, is just hit the southern banks, and you don't ever really see any boats on the southern banks. Most people are hitting those hot spots on the northern banks. And you're going to catch fish either way. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. So, you know, if you're in a tournament and stuff, I suggest, you know, hitting the northern banks first and seeing if you can figure something out, but don't be afraid to hit the southern banks. If you're just going to fish, don't be afraid to hit southern banks. That's what I did, like I said, this entire week, and, you know, I consistently caught fish, multiple fish, but, you know, I'm focusing on those points, and most of the fish that I'm finding, they're either dead on the point, like dead center of the point, or either they're moving around the edges of the points. And you know, I'm positioning my boat to where I can make a cast all the way down that point and bring that bait down the side of that point, not casting over and bringing over a small section, but I'm trying to stay in that strike zone as long as I can. Now, the baits that I want to talk about are fairly simple. Some of them are baits that I've talked about, you know, this entire year, and they're still going to come into play, but there's one thing that you need to understand. You really got to slow down. And as bad as I hate to say it, because I like moving fast, I like covering water super fast, these baits are going to allow you to cover water, but you're still going to have to slow down. So the first one I want to talk about is the Spook Junior, okay? I'm typically going to be using that clear version when you know, they're on threadfin shad. I've got the Papa Walk up here for when they're on blueback herring, but 99% of the time the fish that I find they're going to be on threadfin, and that Spook Junior in that clear version is going to be a key. You know, the moderate action rod, it's kind of personal preference on all that, what you want to do. But another one that I want to talk about is a fluke. This is also great when those fish are coming up and feeding on the shad. Now, what I typically do, it's kind of like a 1-2 punch, okay? So I'm using that Spook Junior as those fish come up, and typically I'll catch 1 or 2 fish off of them, and then they'll go back down. They catch on to this stuff quick up here on Lewis Smith Lake. So you know, I'll hit them with that Spook Junior or the Papa Walker, whichever one, and then I'm gonna throw that X-Zone Whiplash shad, okay? And I've got it set up with the treble hook and stuff, but either way, I'm gonna throw right back to that same area or wherever I see them come up with this bait right here, especially when it's slick calm, okay? So maybe it's super slick and the sun's up real high. Most of the time for me, the walking bait, most of the time, especially this time of year when those fish are pressured, I don't really get bit on that walking bait unless there's a little bit of wind or something. Just something's got to break up the surface just a little bit. If it's choppy, it's not going to work either way. But some kind of disturbance on top of the water. Like I said, once I catch a couple fish off that, I'll swap right to the fluke, okay? And most of the time you'll pick off a couple more fish, because you're gonna notice this time of year, you're gonna pick off 1 or 2 fish, and then it's like, I can't get the other ones to bite. So you're gonna have to learn, once you catch 1 or 2 fish, move. Catch 1 or 2 fish, move, 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 and constantly do that. And typically what I do, if I have like 6 points in an area, let's just say 6 points, okay? I'll hit 1 point, catch 2 fish. I'll go to the next point, catch 2 fish. Go to the next point, catch 1 fish. Next point, and keep doing that. Now, once I get to the 6th point, I start back at 1. And then I keep working my way around. And a lot of times you can pick up a good limit doing that, or just, you know, catch fish all day long. So the last bait that I want to talk about, this is the one that really shined this week. This is that all-terrain Smalley Smasher swim bait head, and that is the Rapala Crush City Mare. I mean, it's just what worked this week. I don't know what else to say. I know I talk about it a lot, but that's the one that really shined this week. I'm using it on a spinning setup, 10-pound braided line, 8-pound fluorocarbon. I've got that 13 Fishing K-Line A reel, and then I've got the Thunderhawk Elite Series spinning rod. I've come to absolutely love these. I'm probably fixing to just go ahead and get rid of the rest of my spinning rods and just go to these. I've become really fond of these rods. But you know, either way, I appreciate you stopping by. As always, everything will be linked down in the descriptions. I would really appreciate it if you go and check out my sponsors. Thunderhawk Lures is one of them. You can use my code CPOSY20 at checkout. You'll get 20% off your purchase, and it helps me out a whole lot, helps those guys out a whole lot. Also, Salty Captain, keep all your stuff clean. They want to give you 15% off. Use promo code Colton15. Everything will be linked down in the description as always. But either way, guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. See you next time.